hope you're having a great time at the H2O hack. I'm Katherine Daniell, a professor at the ANU School of Cybernetics, the Institute for Water Futures and the Fenner School of Environment and Society, coming to you from the beautiful, sacred and unceded country of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, where I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Water runs in our veins, and in my case, in more ways than one, with a father who was a hydrologist, a grandfather who was a stonemason and dam scale model builder, a grandmother who was a botanist, and many other important influences. Some of my earliest memories are being hauled out of bed in the middle of the night to see dams overflowing with flooding rains by torchlight, and also making cubby houses in the reeds and catching yabbies on the banks of the brown Darling River. And also sitting below a majestic gum tree at a tranquil billabong in the Flinders Ranges, as those before me have likely done for millennia. When I need to switch off and find a centering place, you will still find me in or under a tree and camping without connectivity, like here in the ACT. I'm beneath the trees, connecting with the water, and for many intents and purposes, I'm invisible. Now, what does this story have to do with the hackathon, you might say? Although you're likely to be developing some cool technology and products with satellite technology to make life easier for some people and contribute to helping to solve one of our many water-related regional challenges, I'm talking to you to help you consider the politics, policy, and governance factors that could influence the impact of your proposal. Politics is basically about who wins and who loses, and whose values and benefits will be designed into your solution. If I think back to the technologies that my grandfather and father were helping to construct, large dams for drinking water and irrigation and flood safety, they were helping many farmers and city dwellers to get ahead, have safe water to drink, and security of supply to grow crops and make a livelihood. The first large dams likely had some important impacts on local communities, with loss of sacred sites below the water in the dam and changes in ecology below and above the dam. But the real impact only became obvious years later when these large technologies have been applied at scale, and now the equations of who wins and who loses is significantly amplified, with the environment and local environment dependent communities often bearing the deepest costs we're now counting from space. We now have lots of policies and governance mechanisms to help manage water and the impacts of water technologies and use behaviours. These can vary from public protests, including against dam building, and policy that people dislike, like the original guide to the plan of the Murray-Darling Basin, to water restrictions, pricing mechanisms and markets, institutional or organisational arrangements, and a whole range of monitoring systems and procedures that underpin knowledge development, as well as policy compliance and governance reform at different levels of government. With your proposal, have you analysed what rules, policy and legislation might surround its use and development? If you're collecting information like personal or individual farm data, then privacy legislation might be important, particularly as releasing such information could potentially pose a risk to the farm household or members within it if it got into the wrong hands. Now, it might even just be able to be used to control the actions of people in unwanted ways, such as not being able to run your farm or household systems when you want to, because the indicator being measured signals something different. For example, cost efficiency versus personal freedom and anxiety reduction, which can be a gendered thing. Thus, you can ask, who are you helping and who are you like to be hindering in the development of your system, and what might you be able to do about this? Developing safe, responsible and sustainable outcomes of technology at scale for environments and societies can be tricky, but we can all do a better job by thinking about the more complex and cybernetic systems your proposal might be a part of and might impact, and how you might be able to modify the design to take more of these potential issues into account before you're trying to escape them, like me down at the campground. Good luck and have a great hackathon.